This morning, we have new information on the Trump administration's impact on families trying to cross the U.S. southern border. Lawyers say they cannot find the parents of, listen to this number, 545 children after they were separated at the border. The children are now in U.S. custody, and some of them have not seen their parents in more than 3 years.
In the ACLU filing, lawyers say of the 1,030 separated migrant children, they still haven't been able to reach parents for 545 kids. And roughly 2/3 of those parents are believed to have been deported to their countries of origin. The children in question were separated before the Trump administration fully implemented its short-lived zero-tolerance policy.
I didn't like the sight or the feeling of families being separated.
It's been more than 2 years since President Trump ended that policy, which separated more than 2,800 children from their families at the southern border. A federal judge then required the administration to reunite children with their parents within 30 days, a deadline it did not meet.
So this is what happens when not only do you have a racist, fascist, cruel, horrific policy implemented to drum up enthusiasm in a racist base who hates immigrants and migrants, but you rush it too. Because the reason that these children's parents' information was not documented was because they were rushing to comply with this directive by Donald Trump. So you're orphaning kids to play up to your base, which we already knew. But part of the reason this was so sloppily done was because Trump was so impulsive in pushing this through. But like always, things are going to be sloppily done by the government. You can never ensure that you're separating kids from their parents in a very orderly fashion. That's what's scary about this, is that they thought they could do this systematically. It's violence. You can't implement strict paperwork and filing systems for state-sponsored violence, because violence is messy by its nature. And that's what we're seeing here. In a court filing, the ACLU said that about 2/3 of the parents had been deported back to the country of origin in Central America, leaving their separated children behind. In the rush to carry out Trump's orders, the locations of the parents were not recorded, and 3 years later, they still cannot be found. The zero-tolerance policy was announced in April 2018. It was later revealed that the administration had begun family separation the previous year under a secret pilot program. In total, 1,030 children were removed from their parents by the U.S. government under that pilot scheme, of whom 485 children have had their parents found under a scheme imposed by federal judges. The ACLU and a team of lawyers have been tasked by the courts with finding all the parents. Under the pilot scheme, about 66% of the parents separated from their children were deported back to Central America before the court order was imposed on the Trump administration to find them. The search for the parents, who are called unreachable in the court document, has been hampered by the coronavirus pandemic. Family separation was one of the most visceral results of the Trump administration's ruthless assault on illegal border crossing. The goal of the zero-tolerance policy was to criminally prosecute every migrant who entered the U.S. without authorization, irrespective of the consequences to their families, including their children. The full horror of the administration's intentions was only disclosed earlier this month when the New York Times reported previously unpublished communications between top officials. Jeff Sessions, then U.S. Attorney General, told prosecutors in a conference call in May 2018, "We need to take away children." The then Deputy AG, Rod Rosenstein, told prosecutors at the time that children should be pulled away from their parents no matter how young they were, even if they were infants. Guys, the Obama administration was also horrible on immigration, but it was never this deliberate. There's something to be said for deliberate state violence and what that says for future actions about an administration and what it says about their ruling philosophy. Everyone should be sick about this. We have orphaned children. We have orphaned them. We have torn them from their parents. We have broken families' hearts. Mothers wailing for their children. That's us. That's on us. The country that wanted to feel good about itself for fighting the Nazis. Hard to feel good about yourself when you commit state atrocities like this. Yeah, no, we've done it before too. Don't get me wrong. The Iraq War, the Vietnam War, mass torture, Japanese internment. The United States, we're not saints, but much of the population likes to think of ourselves as this beacon of light in the world. This is what we did. It's documented, and it happened under this administration.